Hello, everybody. First of all, while we're waiting for some more people to get on board here, on the chat area over on the right, if you just let me know if you can hear me, that would be great. Blah, 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 blah. Can you hear me? Don't know if you can because I'm not seeing any responses. Hi, Kate. Can you hear me? Jonathan, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I feel like a Verizon commercial. Not getting any responses here. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, thank you. You can. I cannot see you, Kate, but let's see if we can get you up on the Hangout. Hold on. Testing all this out. Hey, Jonathan.
Hey, I got connected.
I can't hear you, but I can see you.
Oh, really? Can't hear me. Fine.
Hey,
Testing, testing.
Kate, are you there? Not seeing you, Kate. That's okay. If you can hear me, that's the main thing. So, all right. Well, what I'll do is I'll try to keep the chat area open so you can type in any questions or comments that you have. If you get your microphones working, great. If not, that's all right too. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start. I was surprised we had 7 people say they were going to. Oh, there's Catherine. Hello. Let's see if she can get added on here. Hold on. So there's like 7 people that were going to be able to be on live, but I know J. David Stewart. He runs a restaurant in West Virginia, and his delivery truck just showed up, so he's going to have to listen to the recording. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and get started here.
Testing.
And I apologize for the confusion on Sunday night. I was at a gathering at somebody else's house, thought I could use their computer, but it did not have all the plugins in place that I needed to do this. So I couldn't do it. So we're doing it right now, and we'll do it again this Sunday night at 9 p.m. So that we can keep on task. You can stay there, Catherine. That's no problem. All right. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about this whole John Maxwell thing, and then give you some guidance on this. I'm probably going to ultimately have 2 groups one that's an open group for people to kind of get a taste of this. I might use it for marketing even as well. But I'm going to have a closed group according to the stipulations for the LID program. I am in GJ's circle, and he is in John Maxwell's circle. There are certain parameters that we're going to need production-wise to stay in the circle for the month. And I'm going to explain those for you here in a minute, but to help you understand why that's there, it's because if you've read the 5 Levels of Leadership book, you'll see that you have position, permission, and then you have production. And the production side of this is why we're looking at this. This is what's going to stretch people's comfort zones. It's like when we keep things into concepts, as far as principles or ideas or thoughts, everybody salutes it. Everybody agrees with it. But one of the phrases that John Maxwell pointed out was, I'm going to look this up real quick for you, is the whole aspect of being uncomfortable. Is if we are in control but uncomfortable, meaning we are focused in on our tasks, but we are uncomfortable, we're in the best place we can be. And so the standards are to put us in a place of discomfort. And just know that if we're going to grow, we're going to be uncomfortable. A perfect example of this is my son, which I get to brag about right now because Elias just was declared the Athlete of the Year for Eastern Iowa by the Gazette, a bunch of sports writers in this area of the state. And I've been working out with him the last few days because his weight room got flooded. And his daily routine that's getting him stronger and stronger and stronger is to constantly put himself into a position of discomfort. It's to stress his body to a level that it had not experienced before so that it can withstand more stretching the next day. And that's what he's doing to perfect his body. Hi, Ray and Linda. I can see that you're here. And so we need to exercise our muscles. We've got to stress them beyond a level of comfort. As I can go into a weight room, I can go into a fitness club like I do every day, and I can put 40 pounds on the thing and I can press it 10 pounds. I can say I did something, but I really hadn't done anything to strengthen my body or make it stronger because I did not take it out of its comfort zone. I kept it in the place of its ability. And when I keep my muscles and my body in its place of ability, then I just stay static. And when we're looking at network marketing, and a lot of you have heard me say this isn't about peddling products. This is about really a culture and a team surrounding one another, stretching us to become what God's called us to be instead of what we settle for. And so this is one of the best models I've ever seen for mentoring ever invented because it's biblical. It's Luke 10 and 2 Timothy 2:2. But in order to do that, where we really help each other attain our potential, we need to stretch one another. We need to test one another, strengthen, keep each other in a place of discomfort in order for our body or our life to be perfected. So that's something that right now we need to grab a hold of and recognize that that is a part of our life now. Is not to seek comfort, but to seek discomfort. I'm not saying to be in a place of pain all the time, but knowing that if we're going to lead others, if we're going to be an influence on others around us, then we're always needing to grow and learn more. And we need to be doing more than we did yesterday. And that's a lifelong process. We never stop learning. So in that, I want you to understand the heart of the standards. So the standards for the closed lid group is going to be doing at least Rockstar Challenger a month. Now, to be in the actual official lid group, you've got to be a regional director or above. You've got to be an active regional director. That's not something you hit a couple years ago, but you've got to be able to be there right now. So a lot of you aren't going to qualify for that, which is why I'm going to be doing other groups, because I'm here to raise us up to new levels of influence. Okay, so but that's what the standards are for. For those that are regional director and above, the standards are a $250 deposit. Now you get that back after 12 months if you stay consistent on everything and do the productivity. Sign an EPS a month, and I think doing the Rockstar Challenger. At my level, it's doing an EPS a month, 5 in my open line outside of any other lid leader, and then doing Rockstar Challenger every month. And so that is the work that I'm doing. And that's the work that we're doing. So this isn't, I'm not asking you to do something that I'm not already doing. But even if you're not able to do that, I'm wanting to give you guys tips and morsels as far as what we're going to be doing, because we're not going to be able to recognize ourselves 12 months from now. I'm already seeing that from what I've seen. And just to reiterate, when I was with John Maxwell in Atlanta, he was saying that what he's doing here he's never done before, and he'll never do again. You know, and he reiterated, I've trained 5 million people in 196 different countries. Yeah, he's working with the country of Guatemala right now and a bunch of UN ambassadors. All right, it's crazy the influence this guy has. But what he's doing with us, he'll never do again, because it's family. He said Ryan, Nick, and Blake are sons that he's been praying for, and we're going to change our culture. And so he said that's a 12-month stint, but after that 12 months, then we start with the other kids that grow up, and then the next group that grows up, and then the next group that grows up. So this isn't something that ends. You don't change a culture in 12 months, but you change the direction of a culture in 12 months. So what I'm loving about this is it's really addressing the culture that we want to experience and do and be. And I'm really excited with what I've been seeing, because I'm seeing people getting really honest in the lid group I'm in, very vulnerable, very honest about the fears they're facing, things that they're doing, confessing some of the things they've done that have shot themselves in the foot. Honesty and transparency. It's been addictive. So I'm very excited with where that's going. What I want to leave you with, because I do want to take questions from you guys or any comments that you can chat, or if your mic is working, you can go ahead and ask here in a minute. But I'm going to cover some points here, and since I'm not able to talk to any of you, I'm just going to do this verbally to show you the graphics. Something that he talked about, there's several things he's already shared with us, is the 5 E's of leadership. First of all is environment. What environment are you cultivating and working in? Now, the thing that I was challenged with was recognizing that I've actually been submitting to the environment that I've been given here in Iowa. And I know this from other people in other countries other parts of the country I've been working with, as we've submitted to the environment that we've been given. And really in leadership, he's really given us principles to change the environment or get ourselves out of a bad environment into a better environment, so that we're cultivating and working in a positive environment where we're building each other up, edifying one another, walking in a cohesive manner with a common purpose. And something that I shared in a training last night that is just a glimpse of what I'm talking about is my son and I went to a meeting, a luncheon, a few weeks back, and yeah, I was in dress slacks and a shirt, short sleeve shirt, you know, kind of casual business, I guess, and so was my son. But then the men that greeted us at the door were all in suits, I mean, dressed to the hilt. and they were looking me up and down like, what are you dressed like that for? And for a minute I was insecure, thinking, did I miss a memo because I'm not in a suit? So there's like just me and my son and then like 7 guys in suits. And they were looking at us like, why are you dressed that way? Well, then the thing that was funny was then within the next half hour, all these other guests came in dressed like us in a shirt and slacks. And all of a sudden, those guys that were looking us up and down, all of a sudden now they were looking at themselves going, why are we dressed in suits? Because everybody else is dressed more casually. So the entire environment changed because everybody came in, that came in with us. We're in agreement on how to dress, as an example. When you have a group of people in agreement on something, have a consensus on something, then you're able to change the expectations of the environment around you, not just because you're the majority, but just because you may be walking confidently. And I say that because we all know situations where, like the movie 300, that they intimidated the enemy because they were so cohesive with one another. And they were in the minority, but they were more tight than the masses that were trying to attack them. So we know that whole change of culture can happen whether or not you're the majority, just if you have a group that's in consensus. So what is the environment you're working in? Are you one that's in authority in it, or are you being, dictated to in the environment so you're really not the one leading? That's a key thing as far as leadership is, are you leading in your environment? Second thing is, are you an example? Would you follow yourself? And that's a question I ask myself every day. Would I follow me? And if not, and this is an important point here, guys, and if not, why not? Because here's one of the key things that I learned from John is leadership is not a skill. You might be thinking, well, Bill, you're really good at leadership. I'm not. Leadership is not a skill. That's why in all of his books it talks about the laws of leadership. Because they're principles. If you apply these principles, you will have success. So if you don't find yourself as somebody you'd want to follow, then what we got to look at is, what about me don't I respect? And then we need to address those issues. Because you've heard me say this from the beginning. Our main product is not shakes and cookies and cereal. Our main product is us. And people will follow us. So would I follow me? And if not, address the areas that I think are holding me back. That comes into the law of the lid. The law of the lid is I can only take people as high as I've attained. So if I want them to grow, then I need to grow. Okay, so that's something that we've got to look at as well. Now, the other thing that's really important that I see happen a lot in network marketing especially is the next principle, and that is expectations. Do you set goals for yourself and those you work with? Because here's what I see happen a lot in network marketing is I see a lot of people will just kind of promise the moon. And they say, hey, come in, we'll have a great time, and we're going to make a ton of money, and then come on in. And they come in and say, well, now that you're in, you need to do this, this, and this, and this. And well, hold a minute, what's this bait and switch deal? I was told everything was going to be gold and beautiful, and now that I'm in it, you're telling me I've got to do a lot of hard work. We got to have those conversations and expectations up front instead of after, because that actually creates mistrust. Is when we add things later instead of just giving full disclosure on the front end. Something that my mentor told me that I appreciate, much. He says, I undersell and overdeliver. Is I don't make any promises that aren't going to be like brain dead possible, and that way when they come in, it'll actually exceed their expectations instead of underwhelm them. So we've got to bring that message, and this is something that I was just reading a gal we had almost brought in. She was with another company, but she wanted to do this too, and that her other company told her she couldn't do both, and so she stayed with that other company. Well, now she's dropped off of that company because They sold her a big dream that she finally recognized or decided was not possible. And so then she felt deeply betrayed because she felt like they lied to them. Now her ability to trust others to lead her like us is going to be difficult because that mistrust of the industry has been kind of confirmed in her heart. Still going to try. But the reality of it is if you undersell and over-deliver, saying, like I had a guy say, well, will this get me financially free? I go, I don't know if it will or not. It did me. I don't know if it will for you or not. But we can answer some questions. It can do this, but don't promise it to do something that you have no control over. All you can do is share your story and your convictions, and people will follow that. Does anybody have any questions before I go any further on any of the points on this? I guess one thing I want to hear from you, because I don't want to go any longer than a half hour if I don't have to. What do you want to see happen from seeing focus in on leadership and culture? What do you want to see happen for yourselves? If you got a mic, speak up. If not, go ahead and write it on the chat area.
Testing, testing.
While I'm waiting for you guys to write some feedback, one of the other points I was going to touch on, one of the other E's was equipping, and then I got one more point after that. On equipping, our whole focus has to be reproducing ourselves. So the problem is, in some cases, we are reproducing ourselves because we haven't been able to get much done. We're just hoping we find somebody, and that's really kind of the thing that gives a black eye to network marketing. Is the whole view is somebody saying, "Well, I just got to find 3 people that'll work their tail off, so I don't have to." And those are never people that are going to be successful because they're resting on what their team is going to do, and that doesn't build community and that doesn't build trust. The successful network marketer is somebody who realizes he's in control of his own destiny and he works and he models a work ethic that other people desire to duplicate. So if somebody's sitting on 3 eggs hoping that they hatch, they're probably just going to get sore sitting on eggs. But if we model an example of productivity and vision of achieving what we want to achieve, then other people will be inspired to do the same thing. But if we are signing somebody up hoping they do something so I don't have to, they're gonna smell that a mile away, and then you're gonna find distrust and then probably them drifting away eventually. So that's one big thing: is am I reproducing myself in my team? And if so, is what is being reproduced something that's productive and beneficial? Okay. Okay, let me read through some of these. Hold on. Okay. All right, let me see here. Love it. I want to lead leaders, which means I must learn to develop leaders. Exactly right. And Jonathan, have you gotten the book, The 5 Levels of Leadership, yet? Have you started reading it? Ah, good man. Good man. And what you saw there then is in that book, what he said is when you go to the second level, you don't stop doing the first level. Is you just add the second level to it, and then the third level, and the fourth. And the fourth and fifth levels is where you're wanting to go, and that is where I lead leaders. And here's the ironic thing. He touched on this, because here's the thing I found myself is I am somebody who leads leaders. but my productivity level at this point is not congruent with that ability. And so one of his points is, you might find yourself leading leaders, you might be finding yourself doing level 4 stuff, but if you're not doing level 3 stuff, you're really still down at level 3. Because we want to pass that on, pass that by. But what really is going to cause things to perpetuate is when we're doing all the levels consistently. So that might sound like a big chunk, but here's what I know. My son, as an example again, he used to have to work really hard to bench press 150 pounds. Now he's working out with 220 pounds, you know. And so to go back and press 150 pounds is no problem at all. It's not even work. Okay, so when you exercise these certain muscles of the different levels, then productivity is not difficult. The things that are difficult for us right now, if we exercise those muscles, will not be difficult later on, unless we drop off and atrophy again because we're not doing it. You just do a little bit every day, you know, something that Tony says, inch by inch. So I'm starting to hear some people's microphones, so that's good. But let's go back to some of these chats. If anybody's microphone's working, go ahead and speak up. Developing leaders is on the productivity side. The permission level and the productivity level is where we learn how to develop leaders so we can lead them in the level 4. Good. Catherine says, I need a change in the examples. I know I have things I need to change and need to not be so scared to do so, feeling like a failure. I appreciate your honesty, Catherine. That's why we're here. Now, in that is, I love how you are staying engaged in this process. You are staying engaged in this whole development. You're going to change your environment. And it is hard, you know, admittedly at the front end, when everything in front of you is inconsistent with what you want. But you find one of those things change, or you find somebody that can call you higher. And that's why I see you, you know, you drove all the way from Cresco down to our training last night. I mean, that's dedication. That tells me you're wanting a different influence. You have it by being in this group. And you're going to see things and believe things differently, and people will start to follow you. But you can't wait for them to follow you. You just got to keep producing. Find the people that are looking for you, and you're going to inspire the people locally. What's funny, I've noticed here in Cedar Rapids, I'm going back to change my environment because I have influence in the nation. But in my hometown, just like Jesus, I don't have a lot of influence. I mean, I do, but not nearly as much as I have outside of it. And I've submitted to that instead of challenge it and demand a change of respect. And that's something that I'm going to do now because of what John has downloaded in me. You know, something Ray just said, I need to grow so that I can lead. The only way anybody will ever lead is if you're growing. If you're not growing, you can't lead. Maintenance is a recipe for death. Inactivity, and I'm not just talking about, you know, selling a bunch of shakes. I'm just saying always investing in yourself to grow and enjoy the discovery of new things. If you aren't growing, you're not going to be able to lead. So we're always going to be growing. And then here's something that I can identify that Kate said for myself is I want to be a leader that my team wants. I've been a leader in previous jobs, so I know I can do it. Something continues to hold me back. I need to figure out what that is. And what that is some of the easy things I can address from what I've been getting from John is, you know, sometimes when I've had jobs, it was easier for me to lead because I was given a job that required me to lead, and everybody had to follow me. That's the positional leadership dynamic that infrastructure and businesses require. So when people had to follow me, then I could lead. But then I would want to take them farther, and they wouldn't go any farther than they had to because they weren't following me because they wanted to. This because they were following me because they had to. Where we're at in this business, this is a volunteer army. People don't have to follow us. So that level that we hit here is really our opportunity for growth. one of the things I can tell you that changes people's view is when I share my vision, when I tell stories. It's not about my skill set. I mean, we do need to call down into our teams. We do need to do all that, but it's not. That's a skill. But the principle is painting a picture for where you're going. You know, I remember when our kids were little, we'd always have to prepare them for when we were going to leave somebody's house or before we were about to do something, because they just couldn't handle the shock of doing something new right away. They had to kind of get psyched up toward it. In the same way, we need to let people know, here's where we're going. We're going to change the environment in Cedar Rapids. If I don't say that, then people that are following me are going to go, well, I don't know if they'll let us do that here in Cedar Rapids. But I painted the picture. We're going to change it so that it's going to be popular. You know, we're going to do things. We're going to go here. We're going to establish this so that they now know that's where we're going, and then they can be either in agreement with it or not. So this volunteer army is going to really actually allow you to hone your skill as a leader better than anything else you could possibly do in life, which is one of the reasons why I do this business model, is because it allows us to really develop the skill of discipleship. Okay, so having said that, and we'll talk more about how we do that in weeks to come, the last comment is the 5 E's. The 5 E's were environment, example, expectations, equipping, and emotional stability. So, emotional stability. There was another comment on there, and your capacity. So, emotional stability is something that you may not have right away. Is again developing that muscle, where you're able to not be so swayed. Like I know when I first was starting to lead, I just was trying to make friends. I just wanted everybody to be my buddy. And then I had to start making hard decisions. And I had to look at the fact that some people chose not to do stuff with me and move on and not to take it personally. And that was very difficult. Mm-hmm. So you need to recognize that part of leadership is knowing that not everybody's going to follow you and being okay with that. Something that John Maxwell shared in his book was they had a confidence vote in the first church that he pastored, and he had one vote against him staying. Everybody else voted for him or abstained. And he was devastated that somebody didn't like him. And he called his dad to go, what do I do? Should I stay here? And his dad said, definitely stay here. That's going to be the best vote of confidence you'll ever get in your career. Is if only one person hated you, then that you're not going to do any better than that. And he said, and that's ended up being true. And I can tell you that's been true with me too. So not everybody's going to follow you. But you just got to focus in on the ones that do. And so what you got to do is set an example. So Kate, one of the things I would say would be tell stories about your life. Tell stories about your vision, your passion, what you love, where you're going, and not just talk about business, but actually what I'm trying to overcome and what I am going to go overcome and where I want to be in 5 years. That's the kind of stuff that's going to inspire people, and really that's the thing is are we inspiring them? And sometimes we have to overcome our own fears. There's been times in church life that I've had very difficult things I was going through, incredible, and only a handful of people in the group knew about them. And I'd still inspire everybody on Sunday, and they would, come up to me afterwards and go, how can you do that? Well, I know what's going on in your life. How can you still be so inspirational and encouraging? I go, because it's true. I don't have to always feel it to know it's true. And so I can overcome my own battles in order to help people get where they need to go. And that's not being hypocritical. That's not being double-minded. It's just hanging on to truth, even in trials. And when you can do that, then you're going to inspire people, and they're going to respect you. So, any other comments before we close? Jonathan, I heard your microphone working. Is it working?
I don't know. Testing.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
You have any thoughts?
Well, I think this is awesome. I think any way we can participate in this Maxwell training, we're just going to have, a leg up on the rest of our lives, and that we, I can't encourage everybody more than to, participate at whatever level you can.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of Maxwell stuff this year, and this one, this 5 levels brings a whole lot of it together.
It does.
And so it's a great foundation to work from. And so I'm just super excited about spending time with it.
Awesome. Now, Kate, I think I heard you too. Is your mic working now?
I think it is. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yay!
What do you want to share? Anything?
I really like what you just shared this afternoon, and those 5 E's. A couple of those just totally hit home. I did pick up 5 Levels of Leadership and started reading that a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So far, so good. With that.
Good. Well, there's more than where this comes from. I mean, Blake just sent out a video that I put on the team page, so you can listen to that too. And that was from the session with John yesterday.
Okay.
And it's going to be some things overlapping with that I just shared too. But something I touched on last night, and that is, really grabbing a hold of your why and your convictions. When you have convictions, you can overcome anything. People want to, disregard what you're saying, whatever else. Your conviction is going to, supersede all things. So this whole thing with Project 10, feeding kids in need and all that, you focus in on your passion and your story. When I tell people about the Huntington story and my passion for this thing, which is not made up, it's for real, it shuts down all negative junk, and they listen. They may not always do it, but they'll listen because people are drawn to passion. They're drawn to conviction. And so if there's anything I could share with people right now, is I say, don't sell shakes, sell the story, and share whatever passion you have that's locked into our mission. Grab a hold of it and make it your own. That, along with your vision of where you want to go, is going to create a story and a vision that other people can follow. And so that is what they're going to follow, is your example. So that's what we need to do. We got to be very transparent. That doesn't mean we got to hang all of our laundry out there, but we do need to let them know that we aren't invincible, that we are human just like they are. And they can be inspired to do more because you're just like they are. Okay, and so I think that's all I want to focus in on. That is, are we hanging around? Do we have enough people influencing us to call us higher? Or are we settling for the people that pull us down? Like I said last night in our local success training, I'm not saying that you should just cut off those relationships, but you need to set up some boundaries. You need to set up some boundaries saying, I'm not going to allow you to limit what I do, because I am also getting fed from these other relationships that are congruent with where I want to go. So until next time, we'll end here. But Sunday night, 9 o'clock, we'll get together again. And as I get more clarity on the LID group and which group needs to be closed, which one open, I'll let you know what's going on there, so that we can all move forward at whatever phase of it we belong to. All right?
Mm-hmm.
I would challenge everybody to look at doing Rockstar Challenger every month, just as a goal to try to meet. That's what I'm doing. And it might seem absolutely impossible to you right now, but if you exercise that muscle, 150 pounds isn't that heavy after a while. So we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.